In a galaxy ruled by the merciless Valthyran Ascendancy, humanity teeters on the brink of annihilation. Aboard the flagship Vengeance, Overseer Tychor Vex plots Earth's destruction, underestimating the savage resilience of a species forged in chaos. What begins as a merciless assault ignites an unrelenting war of vengeance, where humanity turns the tide with stolen tech and unbreakable spirit. Dive into this epic Talithon like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more thrilling stories to fuel our creative vitae. The stars outside the Valthyran Ascendancy's flagship, the Vengeance, shimmered coldly. Their violet glow reflected across the smooth metallic surfaces of the war room. The ship's systems hummed with chilling precision, a far cry from the warmth of human chaos. Overseer Tychor Vex stood before a massive holographic display, a map of the galaxy projected above the table. His eyes gleamed with icy contempt as he surveyed the coordinates of Earth. With a slow, deliberate gesture, Tychor Vex slammed his fist onto the console. Humanity's defiance ends now. They have become a nuisance that must be exterminated. His voice dripped with venom, chilling every officer in the room. His tone was one of certainty, a belief that the galaxy and its people were rightfully his to command. Tychor Vex glanced at the Valthyran officers standing at attention. Commander Zalthar, towering and armored, the epitome of the Ascendancy's elite, stepped forward. "We will eradicate them in days, Overseer. Their primitive technology is no match for our fleet." Tychor Vex's eyes narrowed. Underestimating them is a mistake, but this is what will make their destruction all the sweeter. He turned his back on Zalthar, facing the vast, starlit expanse of space. He gave the order with a quiet confidence: launch the fleet. Let them feel the full might of the Ascendancy. Annihilate them. Numerics. Within 24 hours, 50 warships, including the Vengeance, equipped with 12 million tons of plasma cannons, would descend on Earth. Their primary target, Titan's Reach, the human outpost on Ironhaven. The fleet's first strike would be precise, efficient, and devastating. The Valthyrans believed their power was undeniable. For centuries, their warships had obliterated entire species with swift, calculated strikes. Humanity, to them, was just another obstacle to be crushed, a primitive species barely deserving of notice. But they had miscalculated. Tychor Vex smirked. He would soon learn the cost of underestimating humanity. The surface of Titan's Reach was a scarred wasteland. Thick, acrid smoke rose from the ruins of Ironhaven, humanity's last line of defense against the coming Valthyran onslaught. The once thriving military colony was now a battlefield, consumed by a brutal war that had only just begun. Colonel Jack's ironclad harrow limped through the debris, his prosthetic leg grinding against the charred earth with each step. Sparks flew from the exposed circuitry, his every movement a reminder of the price humanity had already paid. Blood stained his uniform, some of it his own. His face was smeared with the remains of an alien assault, Valthyran blood mixed with human grit. But his eyes, those cold, unyielding eyes, never wavered. The Valthyran assault had begun in earnest. Their fleet was already descending, their first wave smashing against Ironhaven's walls. But they hadn't anticipated the savagery of humanity's response. As the Valthyran war machines approached, a massive underground minefield erupted, sending enemy soldiers flying into the air. Plasma mines, scavenged from old Valthyran wreckage, detonated with ruthless precision, shredding dozens of armored invaders. Human technology, though crude compared to the Valthyran arsenal, had been adapted for survival. Makeshift EMP grenades scrambled enemy electronics, while heavy plasma rifles, modified by humanity's engineers, tore through Valthyran armor with ruthless efficiency. The human soldiers, fighting in small, guerrilla-style squads, used Valthyran tech against them, scavenging enemy war machines and repurposing them as traps. Jack sparked orders through his comms: make them regret landing here. No mercy. Within the next 30 minutes, over 100 Valthyran soldiers would be left dead or incapacitated. Proof that humanity's spirit could not be crushed by superior firepower. Ironhaven might smolder, but its defenders weren't done yet. The fight had just begun, and humanity's response was already louder than the Valthyrans could have imagined. The chaos on Ironhaven was reaching its boiling point. Sergeant Mara Blaze Corn crouched low behind a collapsed structure, her face hard with determination. Burn scars marred her arms and neck, remnants of a past battle. But it was her eyes that told the real story, relentless, like the fire she was about to unleash. Blaze had seen enough. The Valthyrans had underestimated the human spirit, and now it was time to make them regret it. In her hands, she held the plasma core, a modified Valthyran bomb she had scavenged from a downed cruiser. The core was capable of leveling an entire Valthyran battalion. But Blaze wasn't just trying to wipe out a few soldiers. She aimed to send a message. Her comms crackled to life. Blaze, we need the bomb up and running. The Valthyrans are breaching the main gates, came Jax's voice, steady despite the chaos around him. Blaze's response was calm, but chilling. I've got this. She quickly rigged the plasma core with human ingenuity, layers of homemade detonation charges, packed around the core, ensuring a chain reaction that would take out a mile-wide stretch of enemy forces. Her fingers flew over the control pad, bypassing security systems and rerouting the detonator's signal. The technology that had once been used to destroy humanity was now their most lethal weapon. With the final beep, the core's countdown began. Blaze tossed it onto the battlefield as Valthyran soldiers closed in, unaware of the impending storm. 5 seconds later, a thunderous explosion ripped through the Valthyran ranks. Plasma and debris rained down, sending 150 enemy soldiers into oblivion. The shockwave shattered nearby Valthyran vehicles, incapacitating their tech. Blaze stood, watching the destruction unfold. Now, let's see how they like our fire. The Valthyrans were reeling, but Blaze knew this was just the beginning. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting for vengeance. The Dreadspire loomed like a dark titan against the backdrop of space. It was the pinnacle of Valthyran engineering, a fortress capable of wiping out entire planets with a single strike. But now, under human control, its blackened hull gleamed with the promise of revenge. Commander Zane Reaper K was at the helm, his cyber eye scanning the ship's diagnostics. He'd never piloted a ship this advanced. But humanity had long ago learned the art of improvisation. His fingers danced across the console, tapping into the alien systems. Wire, you got it. Tech Sergeant Lena Wirevos was already on it. Her fingers flew across her terminal, cracking the Valthyran security like it was nothing. Done. They'll never know we're here. The ship's stealth protocols flickered into place, rendering the Dreadspire invisible to the Valthyran fleet. Reaper's grin widened. Let's give them a proper welcome. He slammed his fist onto the throttle, sending the ship into a deadly spiral towards the nearest Valthyran battlecruiser. The Dreadspire fired its 12 antimatter cannons in rapid succession. The Valthyran ship barely had time to react before its hull buckled under the assault. In mere seconds, the enemy vessel split apart, debris scattering into the void. The human crew worked in perfect unison. Lieutenant Torres and Private Yates planted imp charges on the Valthyran fleet's energy reactors. Within minutes, half of the fleet's shields were down. The humans were in control. Reaper steered the ship into a strategic position, locking onto the Valthyran flagship. Now, let's end this. The Dreadspire launched a barrage of plasma torpedoes, decimating the flagship's bridge. With a deafening roar, it exploded, sending shockwaves through the Valthyran formation. Reaper and his crew had taken the heart of the enemy's fleet, and they weren't done yet. The Dreadspire surged through space, its engines humming with power as it tore through the heart of the Valthyran fleet. Reaper gripped the controls with ruthless precision, steering the commandeered warship directly into enemy territory. His eyes burned with determination, his cyber eye flashing red as it tracked enemy movements. The human flag was now flying high on the ship's bridge, an ironclad declaration of revenge. Target the core of the fleet, Reaper barked, his voice steady. The crew was ready. Wire had already hacked into the Valthyran communications system, scrambling their fleet-wide command, levying them blind and confused. It was humanity's moment. The Dreadspire unleashed a ferocious barrage of 12,000 plasma shots, targeting the largest Valthyran battleships first. The air was thick with the shriek of weapons fire as the Valthyran ships began to break apart. Each blast hit with a force of 30 megatons, levying nothing but splintered fragments in their wake. Lieutenant Torres monitored the tactical map, her eyes darting between multiple screens. Direct hit, Commander. The Valthyrans are losing formation. Reaper didn't wait. He slammed the ship into full thrust, aiming for the Valthyran flagship, Prime. Now desperately trying to regroup, the Dreadspire launched 18 antimatter warheads, each one designed to pierce the heart of the Valthyran flagship's reinforced shields. The warheads struck simultaneously, a series of deafening explosions rocking the enemy's ship from bow to stern. Prime's shields flared and collapsed, its hull rupturing in an inferno of fire and plasma. The Dreadspire took another hit from a Valthyran cruiser, but humanity's tech held firm. The shields absorbed the impact, levying the ship unscathed. Direct hit on Prime, Commander, Wire said, voice tight with excitement. They're done. The Dreadspire burned through the Valthyran fleet, levying only devastation in its wake. Humanity was no longer just surviving, it was dominating. The Dreadspire plowed through the wreckage of shattered Valthyran warships, levying only burning debris in its wake. Inside, Commander Zane Reaper Cade stood at the helm, watching the crying Nexus, the Valthyran Ascendancy's primary supply hub, looming ahead. It was time to make history. Wire, give me full power to the thrusters, Reaper growled. His cyber eye locked onto the station's massive energy cores, pulsing like a heart waiting to be stopped. Tech Sergeant Lena Wire Voss's fingers flew across the console. You're not gonna believe this, but I just found their failsafe codes. We can overload their entire system. Then do it. The Dreadspire's engines roared as it accelerated toward Cryon Nexus at 47,000 kilometers per hour. Its impact trajectory locked. Alarms screamed across the Valthyran network as their systems failed. Ships scrambled to reposition. But it was too late. Impact in 10 seconds, Torres called. Reaper leaned back in his seat, a smirk pulling at his lips. Fuck you. The Dreadspire's payload launched first, 50 antimatter torpedoes, each carrying the destructive force of 500 megatons. The station's defenses buckled, its shield generators overloading, and a cascade of energy surges. Then, the ship itself slammed into Cryon Nexus, igniting a chain reaction of explosions. The detonation was blinding. A 700-kilometer-wide fireball consumed the station, ripping through Valthyran fleets caught in the blast radius. Within seconds, 34 enemy warships were obliterated, their crews never even realizing what hit them. The Valthyran supply lines? Gone. Their command structure crumbling. Their hope extinguished. Reaper watched the destruction from his escape pod, breathing heavily. One down. Time to finish the rest. Humanity wasn't here for war. It was here for vengeance. The Dreadspire hung in the void, a silent predator as it loomed over the crumbling remains of Cryon Nexus. The victory had been brutal, but Reaper knew it was only a prelude. The Valthyran Ascendancy had been shattered at its core, but humanity's wrath wasn't satisfied yet. They still had a job to finish. Fleetmaster Nadia Steelheart stood in the operations room, her fingers tapping rapidly over her command console. The air was thick with tension. Operation Hellstrike is a go, she said, her voice low and commanding. Her plan was simple. Attack the heart of the Ascendancy, the Valthyran capital. The Dreadspire would lead the charge. With a combined force of 12 human warships and over 3,000 ground troops prepared to unleash hell, they would target the Valthyran High Command and their royal citadel, the nerve center of the entire empire. Reaper, you're on point, Steelheart ordered. Reaper, still covered in the remnants of his previous battle, strapped into the helm of the Dreadspire. I'm already on my way. The battle began the moment humanity's forces entered the Valthyran capital's atmosphere. Steelheart's squadron launched 36 stealth bombers, each carrying precision-guided plasma bombs designed to penetrate the Valthyran's deepest defenses. Reaper's ship released a barrage of 20,000 ion disruptors, scrambling the Valthyran fleet's shields and defenses with surgical precision. Within minutes, the Valthyran capital began to burn. Buildings shattered under relentless strikes, and 5,000 Valthyran soldiers perished in the first wave. Steelheart's forces stormed the Citadel's gates, cutting down everything in their path. "Target acquired," Reaper said, eyes narrowing as he locked onto the Valthyran High Command building. He pressed the firing key, unleashing the full force of the Dreadspire's arsenal. The Citadel crumbled, and with it, the heart of the Valthyran Empire. The Ascendancy was officially on its last breath. The Valthyran capital lay in ruins, its once imposing structures now nothing more than smoldering remnants. The high-tech buildings had been reduced to rubble, while plumes of smoke spiraled into the void. Humanity had done what no one thought possible. They had toppled the most advanced empire in the galaxy. But the war wasn't over yet. The final blow still awaited the prime sovereign Valthyr, the cruel leader of the Ascendancy. Steelheart led the charge into the heart of the crumbling citadel. Her footsteps echoed through the corridors, the hum of humanity's tech replacing the once sleek Valthyran systems. The elite human soldiers, now masters of their stolen tech, stormed through the palace gates with a brutality born of revenge. Plasma rifles crackled with each step, cutting down Valthyran defenders who dared to stand in their way. "Zalthir's inside. We end this now," Steelheart said, her voice as cold as the destruction they left behind. As they moved deeper into the citadel, Reaper and his team breached the reinforced doors to the throne room. Zalthir stood at the far end, surrounded by a dozen of his personal guards. The Valthyran leader was tall, clad in platinum armor, his face stern and calculating. But for the first time, there was a flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. "Humanity has no place in this galaxy," Zalthir sneered, drawing his plasma blade. Reaper didn't flinch. "Your empire's finished." With a swift motion, Reaper's pistol came up, and a single shot rang out. The bullet pierced the air with deadly precision, striking Zalthir between the eyes. The Prime Sovereign collapsed, his armor crumpling like a paperweight. Humanity's victory was sealed. Zalthir, the symbol of the Ascendancy's power, lay dead. The Valthyran Empire, once unstoppable, had crumbled beneath the weight of humanity's relentless vengeance. The galaxy would never be the same. The Citadel's walls, once a gleaming symbol of Valthyran might, now lay in ruins. Reaper stood over the remains of Prime Sovereign Zalthir, his pulse steady, eyes scanning the wreckage around him. The victory was undeniable, but the battle was far from over. Humanity had torn apart the Valthyran Ascendancy's heart, but now it was time to make sure it never beat again. Steelheart paced before the shattered remains of the throne room, her mind already processing the next phase. "We're not just liberating this galaxy, we're securing it." She turned to her crew, her soldiers, her warriors. "The Ascendancy is gone, but there are remnants left. We finish this now." Outside, the war continued. Humanity's forces, 12,000 strong, had decimated the Valthyran defenses, but pockets of resistance remained scattered across the remaining outposts. Lieutenant Torres' squadron, now equipped with stolen Valthyran tech, was systematically hunting down the last of the Valthyran leaders. Their energy shields, once impenetrable, were now rendered useless by the human-made EMP disruptors. The battle had become a massacre. Steelheart's bombers, repaired with human ingenuity, launched from the ruins of the Citadel, each carrying 15 high-yield nuclear warheads. These warheads weren't just about destruction, they were about sending a message. The Valthyran fleet, now scattered across space, was hunted like prey. The nuclear strikes obliterated their remnants, and the last vestiges of their empire disappeared in the wake of 4,000 megatons of firepower. As the final Valthyran stronghold crumbled, Reaper gave one final order: no survivors. We bury their legacy. Humanity wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for domination, for the right to be the hunters, not the hunted. The galaxy was theirs now, free, forged in the fires of their vengeance. And they had only just begun. The stars burned bright across the shattered remnants of the Valthyran Ascendancy. Humanity's victory was total, but its impact on the galaxy was only just beginning. The capital city of the once feared empire was now a smoldering ruin, a symbol of the Valthyran's arrogance and humanity's wrath. Fleetmaster Steelheart stood in the heart of the destroyed citadel, her boots grinding against the cracked stone floor. She surveyed the wreckage, eyes steely with resolve. Humanity had toppled an empire, but now the true work began. The remnants of the Valthyran fleet still lingered in space, but their power was gone. "We've done what they thought was impossible," Steelheart muttered, her voice a grim promise. "But the galaxy is a vast place. We own it now." The final Valthyran resistance had been wiped out, their leadership shattered. Reaper, his armor still smeared with the remains of battle, stood beside her. He glanced toward the horizon, where human forces were already fortifying the newly claimed planets. Ships, 36 human warships, each with the strength of entire fleets, patrolled the galaxy, ensuring the Ascendancy's remnants couldn't rise again. The human forces, now united under one banner, had access to advanced Valthyran technology, hacked, modified, and improved to fit humanity's needs. The Dreadspire, once a weapon of destruction, had become a symbol of humanity's ingenuity, now used to safeguard new borders. Humanity's plasma mines and EMP disruptors rendered enemy technology useless, while their new quantum shields provided protection unmatched by any fleet in the galaxy. "Let the galaxy see what happens when you underestimate us," Reaper said, his voice hard. "We don't just survive, we dominate." And so, under humanity's rule, the galaxy would be reshaped, not through fear, but through an unbreakable will to rise, to hunt, and to claim what was theirs. The Ascendancy's violet glow had been extinguished. What remained was the relentless light of humanity.